I think SoFi earnings yesterday did two things. Number one, it proved that SoFi has a very strong management. Number two, it also proved that this company is here to stay and perform very well in the coming years. So I did a live stream on SoFi stock yesterday, and one of the things that I discussed during the live stream is that why I invested in this company and what made this company special, or this neobank special. So kind of following up on the theme, the live stream for the earnings and the call was too long, was like 2 hours something. So what I thought to do is create a small version or a summary of what happened in the earnings or what was disclosed in the earnings and some key points that were mentioned in the conference call. This is going to be a short video that's going to give you a summary of everything that was discussed in the conference call. Put in the comments below what are your thoughts about SoFi. Where do you think SoFi will be by the end of 2022? And what are you doing with the stock today? Now, stock was really flying 23%, 24% up after the earnings. It has lost some gains, and I said in my live stream video that because of the Russia-Ukraine situation, these things are meant to happen. If the situation was all good, nothing was going on in the markets, inflation or Russia-Ukraine, the stock would have easily crossed $15 by now if the stock was where it was before the earnings. So let's talk about what was discussed, and let's keep the theme going where we are looking long-term for SoFi. So I'm going to share my screen and we will get going with the few things that stood out for me personally. So let's quickly take a look at the quarterly performance right here. So revenue was 280 million, which was of course a great number. Then the second thing I really liked was the annual performance for SoFi, which was about over $1 billion. Now $1.010 billion. Now the expectation was about $1 billion and they came and delivered more. But look, annual adjusted EBITDA also turned positive 30, which was of course negative till 2020, which again a very important thing. And I'm going to run through because I want to kind of give you a quick summary of what was discussed, and also during the conference call few points and a bonus point that you might have missed when you were listening to the conference call. So right here you can see the Q1 2022 low estimate is about 280 million, high estimate is about 285 million. In my opinion, they are going to break this high estimate just because what I heard in the conference call. And as you can see, we delivered 280,000, so this is their low estimate for 2021 Q1. And we know that Q1 is usually a small quarter for all the businesses because people are just coming out of vacation, people are just coming out of the holiday season, the spending is less, the loans are less. So Q1 is usually kind of a timid expectation from all the businesses, but they are saying that they are going to deliver what they delivered this quarter in Q1 of 2022 and the high estimate of about 5 million. Now, another thing I discussed in our live stream is that this is going to be or getting to be a very mature business because look, the gap between the two low and the high is getting smaller and smaller, which is a good sign. That means the business can predict what's coming in the future, which is again an amazing sign. Implied year-over-year growth 30% and high of about 32%. Now let's take a look over here. This is the 2019 actual adjusted net revenue 451. 2020 was 621, 2021 was billion. Look, 2022 guidance, they increased to about $1.5 billion, which is a great number if you look at what's going on with their student loan program. And that's another thing that was discussed in the conference call, which I'm going to bring. So this is all very good, very strong points that SoFi came out and delivered. Now, this is the company metrics. There are too small of a number. I'm going to make a detailed video on the company metrics, so I'm going to share it in that video. But let's now talk about what they discussed in the conference call. So there is like these points that they discussed that I'm going to go over, and then there is this bonus point that they discussed, and I'm going to share that with you, which is I think an amazing indication of what's coming in Q1. So take a look, 30% growth quarter over quarter on all their financial or all their sectors. This is very bullish. Imagine a business making 30% gain quarter over quarter. I remember 2019 pre-pandemic, my business was doing around 20-25% growth yearly, and I was so excited because this was amazing growth. 30% growth is huge for a company that big. Along with that, 1.5 billion expected 2022 revenue. Again, a very bullish sign as we discussed. Number 3, personal loan sector grew higher than 2019 pre-pandemic level. This is a shocker. This was a shocker for me personally. I was not expecting to have personal loan business grow that high, around 1.8 or some billion dollars. This is massive because this is showing us that personal loan, student loan was their main book of business. Now that is taken over by personal loan, by of course execution from a strong management team, and also them picking the right borrowers so that they have less default. So this is a great point right here. One of the most bullish things that I saw, along with the bonus point that I'm going to share. Bank charter to be reflected in Q2 of 2022. So now we know that bank charter is really strong for SoFi, but they're saying that bank charter revenue or bank charter income is going to show up in Q2 of 2022. So Q1 will also not have that. So imagine when they go from Q1 to Q2, what kind of numbers they're going to project for Q2. This is really exciting. Another thing that they talked about is that they took the bank charter with 0 loans. That means there was no loans existing. That means they had to use their own capital to fund the loans. But now, because they have funded the first round of loans in the second quarter, or as the business grow, they will be using the capital that they're getting from the folks when they're repaying the loans to make new loans. So this is kind of that chain reaction that happens, because the more loans they generate, the more money they get and the more loans they can make at a better interest rate. So this is again a very strong point for Q2 of 2022, which is going to add in the total number of 2022. Then Technisys deal right here to reflect in revenue after the close of transaction. So Technisys deal is still not, of course, done yet. They're still working on it, and it's going to reflect in the revenue after the close of transaction, which I think will be a part of Q1 if they can actually close it by the end of this month, and also from April. That means Q2 will be huge for SoFi. Then Technisys revenue growth will be 20-25% for the full year. This is going to be added on top of what the SoFi business or core SoFi business is doing. This is again a huge deal for SoFi as they count the overall revenue towards 2022. Core SoFi business excluding Technisys to deliver EBITDA margins of 30% in 2022. This is again very bullish. They are expecting that the core SoFi business, not counting Technisys, is going to deliver EBITDA margins of 30% in 2022. So 2022 is going to be massive. Another huge point is 17% drop in customer acquisition cost in 2021. Anytime if it's a member business, anytime it's a business that deals with members or subscribers, the biggest expense that they have along with the talent expense is the customer acquisition cost. And they are doing phenomenally good. And this is what reflects the strong management team and strong execution of the plan, that 17% drop in customer acquisition cost in 2021. This is massive. This is an amazing number. This makes me even more bullish for SoFi. Along with that, I know that during the call they mentioned about, or in the earnings they gave about, the stock-based compensation is really high. But guys, you need to understand this. They need to keep the talent. They need to attract the talent in order to deliver results like these. This is not easy to attain. This is really hard, especially when the competition is so high, right? I mean, you look around, everybody is fighting for members. Everybody is fighting for subscribers. So to have that kind of a drop in customer acquisition cost in 2021, and they will continue to do that, they need to keep good talent and they have to increase their stock-based compensation. So stock-based compensation, I really see, if the business is executing the way SoFi is executing, by all means spend the money in stock-based compensation, because that's going to retain and attract good talent. Now let's come to the bonus thing that I was telling you. So this you might have missed when you were listening to the conference call. If you look at the script, you can see this point right here. Direct deposit account increased 50% from Q3 to Q4. Okay, so this was from Q3 to Q4. 50% increase from the direct deposit account. And direct deposit is where they make a lot of money. Direct deposit is when they get funded. Galileo, Technisys, this will all combine, and this is going to be like that vertically integrated system where somebody's depositing right here as a direct deposit, but then we have Technisys, we have Galileo. They all are benefiting because they are going to the other bank where the deposit is coming from, and they are creating relationship with that bank. This is very good. Now listen to this, and another 50% from Q4 to Q1. They are already seeing a 50% increase in direct deposits from Q4 of 2021 to Q1 of 2022. This is the point that makes me super bullish for the growth of SoFi in 2022. This is all very, very exciting things. So I just wanted to make a quick video where I talk about the few things that I think, or I thought in my opinion, stood out more than anything else. Revenues, margins, EBITDA is all good. But as I said in my previous videos, member growth is the biggest thing for these businesses. So I'm really excited and I'm really, really pumped to what I see in the SoFi's Q4 earnings and what to expect in the coming year. Now, I know that we have some options. We have few things that's going on. So let's take a look at the chart for now and see where SoFi is going to, or how SoFi is going to perform. There are a few technical levels that I'm watching and I shared in my live stream video. If you haven't watched it, go watch it, skip to the part when I'm going through the chart. But I'm going to share the chart and I have some lines that I have drawn before the earnings, and I'll show you how beautifully those things work sometimes, especially when you know that these are the algos or the hedge funds or the institutional investors. They're trading for profits. So let's quickly take a look at it and then we'll talk about where we can expect the SoFi stock to go. So take a look over here. So this is SoFi's chart. Actually, yeah, you guys can see. Okay. So this is SoFi's chart, and as you can see over here, when the earnings came out, and this is when the earnings came out right here. So when the earnings were announced, we saw this huge jump, and the yellow line that you see over here, this is the resistance line for me that I have drawn before the earnings, and the red line is where the support line is. Now, as the earnings were announced, we were kind of came close to it, and then we were hanging out in that 1329 range, 1330 range, and then it break up the 1320 range. And then it also crossed the 61.8 level at Fibonacci right here, which was 1355, 1354 level. And then when it crossed to 1381, I was getting really bullish. I thought, you know what, we are breaking that Fibonacci level, because after that, the next Fibonacci level is at about 1582, 1583 range. So then, 1482 and 1483 range. Then after that, we saw some profit taking that happened, and then now we kind of, we went into that range, that support or resistance line that I had. So we dropped below the resistance line, then we tried to catch up, we maintained in that level, and then we came down again. And then we tried to catch up again at around, I would say, 8 o'clock. And then this morning when we start trading, it was much lower. People were taking profits over there. So right now the stock is about 1260, which is of course not that much as we were expecting. It's about 12% high. Now, what I expect to see today is that when we open SoFi stock, or when the SoFi stock opens this morning, we are going to see a short run up, and then we will see some profit taking. And then depending on the Russia-Ukraine situation, then we'll find out what the stock market does overall. Because no matter what, and I mentioned in the live stream as well, that doesn't matter if the stock has a blowout earnings and did very well. Of course, it's going to run. It should run because of delivering what they delivered. But then they still live in the same stock market. That means all the external things, all the macro things, all the micro things, everything is going to affect the SoFi stock in terms of what happens with Russia-Ukraine, what kind of CPI number is going to come out. All that is going to affect SoFi stock because we live in the same sector. But once we pass these things, because it's going to end, right? It's not going to last forever. I mean, March 15th is when FOMC is going to come out and release the interest rate information. And I think after that, at least one part of the equation is solved. Okay, now we know what kind of interest rate to expect. I think it's going to be 0.25 for like many times a year. And then Russia-Ukraine, what happens with that? We're seeing new sanctions. We saw what President Biden said in the State of the Union last night. So I think all of these things will matter. Once we get past this, SoFi has strong legs to run. And that is why any weakness that comes in these next 2 to 3 weeks is a time to take full advantage of. If you have some short-term options, don't hesitate to take profits, because again, we don't know where the stock is going to be in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I feel we are going to get very volatile market conditions in the next 2 weeks. So I really hope that SoFi hold its ground strong, and I really hope that all us investors benefit from this amazing earnings. I mean, this was a blowout earning, which I feel shouldn't be neglected, shouldn't be ignored, and SoFi should be rewarded for this. So I hope I was able to provide you some value, and if you like the video, then go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and also subscribe to the channel if you're new. And also a quick update, I will be traveling, as I mentioned in my live stream yesterday. I'll be going out of town for at least 3 days starting tomorrow, so the videos will be less, but I will try to give you an update from wherever I am if I see anything exciting and anything I would say changing in the stock market. As always, a pleasure to share all of this with you. Until next time, you all have a sparkling day.